Yo, it's the exam coach checking in with you on the morning dog walk, getting some fresh air into my lungs, feeling cracking. And today I'm going to talk you through a recommendation for when you should start revising. I get this question a lot, and my stock response to this, just because I do genuinely believe it's the right answer, is it totally depends on how confident you are and your academic history up to this point. If you've been having a shocker and you really haven't been paying attention, you don't have a clue what's going on, a similar position to what I was in maybe when I was around year 10ish, you've got to put in some serious legwork. Like I would say, you're going to class, you're paying attention, but you're reviewing all the stuff that you were just daydreaming through or mucking about in classes through. You're going to be reviewing all that on a periodic basis throughout the year, starting from term one, really. In fact, I remember there was one summer holidays where I set myself a target of just learning 100 new words in the dictionary and just figuring out how to do maths, because I just genuinely didn't know how to do it, because in the classes I just sit there and the teacher would explain stuff. I'd have loads of questions, but I was too embarrassed to ask questions, so I didn't actually know what was going on. Anyway, I figured that one out eventually. What I would say is, if you do want a recommendation, and this is again generic, but I understand that, and I'm trying to be self-aware here in terms of, for example, when I do a new gym workout or do any kind of new challenge, having that scaffolding, that little bit of guidance, that plan to just say, hey, look, here's a rough outline that you could follow, and then tailor it to your own situation as needed. I think that's a useful tool. So that's what I'm going to give you right now. So the school year broken down into 3 terms in the UK, at least. If you're listening from another country, just imagine your semesters or terms and break them down in that way. So the first term, I would say, all you're trying to do is work on your attention in the classroom. That's really important. If you can focus on that and make sure that you're just up to speed, you don't need to go crazy on the revision or anything. I think that you're going to risk burnout, and you're going to risk lacking balance in your lifestyle, which is just going to make you miserable. You got to stay upbeat, especially at the beginning of the year when there's not as much pressure. Yeah, you want to get off to a good start, but you also want to have a good time, have a good bit of banter. Do the sports, go out with your pals, your friends a few times, have a good time. Get that balance really, really spot on and nice of all the different things you like doing, plus making sure you're paying attention in class, staying up to pace with the work. That's probably the punchline for this term. Staying up to pace with the work, not letting anything get on top of you, keeping on top of it all, and keeping everything in check, on deck, good to go. Now the second term, so the first term would be from September to December, second term January to March-ish time. So in January, usually what happens in most education systems, you have some kind of exam, because over Christmas you're given a bit of time to maybe do a bit more studying. Obviously you want to be you're likely to have some kind of test. And because of this, I think it's a really good time to start your revision. You don't have to go full throttle. There's a difference between the kind of revision we're going to do in term 2 between the term 3 revision. But what it is every day after school, you are looking at, okay, let me have a look at just the whole syllabus. You're basically going from an approach in the first term, which just focused class by class, what's happening. Second term, you're looking at, right, syllabus. What's the scope of this content that I need to learn? And you're really refreshing that with yourself and familiarising that content every day. You're making sure that you're a master of what's this syllabus thing, oh, I can see we're at this stage in it now, we've still got this stuff to cover, and you're really getting on top of that. You're also reviewing the work that you've done so far, because that will really help you speed up your revision come term 3 when we do go full throttle, and we really do lay out a plan of, okay, I'm going to cover these topics on this day, I'm going to cover these topics on that day. Really getting a bit more granular into it and putting in a lot more effort. And I'm going to move on to the third term now, just so I can make that distinction between the second and the third term. So the third term, March to July-ish time, or end of March to early July time. In this third term, you're revising at full throttle, but the key thing that you're really doing is you're making sure all the holes are plugged in the syllabus, you know the stuff, and something that you would have started off with in mind at the beginning of the year, the past papers, the mark schemes, the exams that you're actually going to be taking, you're really mastering that, your technique, how the questions are posed, how the papers are structured. And in fact, I'd always recommend, actually, depending, again, the punchline question of, depending on how confident you are with your exams and how familiar you are with the subject matter and the exam itself at the start of the year, I'd recommend you get all the past papers, mark schemes, syllabus, model questions, model answers, all that stuff right at the beginning of the year, because you want to have that to hand, understand what they look like as early as possible. And really in that third term, what you're doing is because it's so crucial, you are making necessary sacrifices. You are not causing yourself to burn out by just working the whole time. What you are doing is you're prioritising your work. So it will mean you miss a couple of parties. It will mean you maybe don't do an hour-long workout, you do a 30-minute one with more intensity. All those things are, necessary. You need to do a little bit more if you want to really squeeze all the juice out of the orange. And simple thing, like if you're willing to give that up, but then keep it sustainable, and you'll know what that is. If you're inside and you just can't focus at all, you've got that kind of cabin fever vibe going on. You need to get outside and do some stuff. But it really is that prioritization which is important in that third term. That idea that you're preparing for a big game day, and in order to do that, that thing takes priority over other stuff. And that's it. So that's the 3-term plan. Very, very simply put. But again, please gauge where you're at. Be honest with yourself. Don't delude yourself of there's no shame at all in admitting that you're behind, or you really haven't been up to scratch over the last few years. It's fine. In fact, there's a lot more integrity in being able to admit that to yourself and then put a plan in place to actually improve and move on. I'm checking out.